I think that was a very, very, because at that time, obviously there was all types of crazy marches going on down in London. Every minute there was some sort of march. Um, but the energy was, I think, was so different. Police interactions, I think, were from what.
Well, a month later, there was hundreds of riot police, and they didn't care. They didn't get me that day. I think that was the 20th, 19th of September or something like that. And that was when hundreds of riot police came in, and they were looking for me, apparently. That's what it said at court. And they didn't get me. What a shame. Um, but yeah, it was
Do you think you've
not
made that
urine. Peppermint tea. It's not urine. Everyone always says she drinks urine. No, it's peppermint tea.
herbal tea? Yes, of course. It's excellent, excellent. Is it
It's
the
actually
deep?
real tea. It's in a infusion teapot.
Wow,
Real organic peppermint tea leaves.
best way to go. Best way to go. Nice
Yeah,
and
so
calming.
I think that whole we are all one. We all come from, it doesn't matter whether you don't believe in the Lord and Creator, you don't believe in that energy. That, you know, our DNA is a double helix strand, 93% function of it is light and sound, transmission and reception. That's what it is. What
Yeah.
goes up goes down. That's why prayer is a vibration. That's why when you speak, it's not the word you hear, it's the vibration through the air onto the eardrum and the bones in your ear. That's what this is all about. And we are all collectively affected. That's why the whole thing about keeping us all in fear, keeping, you know, yesterday's, I don't have a TV in my house. And actually, I've got a DVD player, but I haven't got
Yes.
a TV that you. And that's only to play, like, it's got some educational DVDs. This is in my office. That sounds really posh, doesn't it? In my office.
No, not
Anyway,
at
it's like
all.
where I do the radio. I think there's a mic up there.
Yes.
Actually, my library, look, you can see. So it's all
My
my
office is my office is currently being remodeled, Kate. So no, you're not posh.
I would say my ensuite is my other office because I sit on the loo doing my emails. Yeah, so it's interesting because that all the press yesterday was, you know, all the things that are going to be a disaster for everybody. You know, there's going to be global warming and floods and a high profile murder and this and that and another pandemic, and that is to keep you in a perpetual state of fear and anxiety, because then you vibrate at 0.2 to 2 hertz, whereas
Yes.
joy, love, acceptance is 180 to 220. All
Mm,
disease begins, so it's all, you know, part of it. That's why I'm a little bit reluctant to. I saw a lot of rallies and they were going along chanting freedom. Well, we're already free. You don't need
yes.
to, you've got to be really mindful. Gellian dialect, you've got to be really mindful of the words that you speak and
The
the power.
power of words, of course. It's so people, the spells, you know, when we're children, we watch all of the cartoons and we go to the theater and the ballets and stuff, and there's witches casting spells, and we think it's all mystery and it's all fairy tales and stuff, but the power of words, of vibrations, of tones, light, as you say, sound, they carry so much. But because we've been, we go to fooling systems, and unfortunately, that don't necessarily guide our potential to where it needs to go. They just want to put this into a little small spectrum, put us in a box, package that box, and say, "Oh, that's your role. Steve, you go out and work in the factory. Sally, yeah, you can be the receptionist. What do you want to do, young Steve? I don't know. Okay, well, we'll pay for you to stop at home all day, and we'll give you universal credit, and you can just be a useful eater."
Or
Yeah.
useless. Yeah. And again, you've got no, it's actually been proven through history. If you give people everything, they'll become less fertile, they'll become less intelligent, they'll become less productive.
Mhm.
So you don't help anybody by doing that. Nobody by doing it. And I work for myself. If I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yes.
I work. I don't take a holiday and go, oh, I'm not going to work for 2 weeks. I can't. If I go anywhere, I still take my phone and do all my emails on it and do lots of other stuff. I don't take time off because I have bills like everybody else to pay.
But
But
Kate,
yeah,
strangely enough, people don't think those sort of things. They think, oh well, because you're not beholden to corporation, or a little small medium enterprise, that you work for yourself. You can just say, look, I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to go here. No,
or you
you're
don't get
taking
sick pay, you don't
no
get
sick
holiday
pay,
pay.
not at
And if
all. You're
you don't,
taking
if you're not on it all the time, if your income and generating, clients is from being, uh, socially visible, that's what you have to
yes.
be. So it doesn't matter how crappy you feel, you have to get on it. And I have a lot of I have patients as well that are very sick. Some of them are dying. So, I can't say to them, oh no, so they have we have a code and on WhatsApp, and they pretty much they can contact me apart from when my phone's on aircraft mode at night. But every day of the week they can contact, and for patients that are really sick, and quite a few elderly people that I know, they have my landline number if they need to phone me in the middle of the night. So you
That's
don't get that service anywhere else.
Not at all. Not at all. Um, as you know, all of the good works which are done will be stored in which are going to be not stored, are written in your book of life. The most important things, and people fail to realize this. They're very much caught up into this digital social world kind of thing, no matter what the ages are, especially the youngsters. But it's like, well, it's the now. Tomorrow, okay, tomorrow's gonna come, but what we're all about, like, now. So if we're in the now, okay, so when you trustfully, let's be optimistic, cup overflowing, if you have an opportunity to sit with the Most High and He examines your book of life, and He's just looking in there and thinking, well, what did you do? What I gave you a life and you did nothing with it.
Hmm.
You was hateful, you were jealous, you were greedy, you didn't give anything. How did you help anybody? What mark did you leave on anybody? Even your immediate family? Did you provide any wisdom? Did you give them any physical help? Did you help grandmother, grandpa, your own mother when she was in need?
Hmm. And of course, we complain about the murder of the elderly in the nursing homes, but we are particularly um, lacking in compassion society, because if you go to many places in the world, they don't even know what a nursing home is. They take care of their own elderly, and their elderly are held in, great esteem, with great respect, and the whole family will take care of them. My ex-husband's family, the grandmother used to live with each of the three daughters for a couple of weeks at a time,
Mm,
and they all looked after her. And when they had, gatherings, she would sit right at the top of the table. Everyone would take care of her. She was loved by everybody.
yes.
In this country, well, we don't want grandma. She's too slow. And we want
Yeah.
to go on holiday, and she's going to get in the way. We don't want her to come on holiday. She's old, and then we've got to look after her, and we can't be bothered. Oh, we don't want to have to go around and do a bit of cleaning for her and shopping for her. Oh, she can't manage. She can't manage. Well, she can't, but that's what you're supposed to do, and do the things she can't do. But what they do then is they go, oh, we can't look after them. So they put them in a nursing home.
Mm,
And then sadly, what's happening now is where you've got end of life care, but now you've got assisted dying, which is just dreadful. But then what they say is, he's in pain, and he's we wouldn't be able to resuscitate him, and this way, he'll be comfortable, and at least you'll get your inheritance. It's not going to eat into that. So the family agree. Well,
yeah.
let's kill him. It's
Mm,
just shocking.
it really is. It
And all
really and
often the family want. I remember when I was nursing in the NHS, I remember working in a care of the elderly ward, and I remember when you wouldn't see any relatives, didn't even know they had relatives
mm,
until they died.
of
Then the
course.
relatives would be there. They would want, because they needed to know what was in the hospital account.
Yeah.
They'd be there then.
They wanted the death certificate so they can go to the insurance company, etc. They
All
can get,
sorts. They wanted what
yeah.
little, bits they'd got. Yeah,
It's
terrible.
the, but it's. I think that many of humanity and mankind have been conditioned. I think there is still a small percentage of people who are just wicked and evil, no matter what happens.
Well, they're possessed by
Oh,
demons. That's why you call alcohol the demon drink. It's called a spirit.
spirits,
Alters
yes.
it alters how you behave. And
Mm.
yeah, so I think that they're possessed by demons.
Okay, if we're gonna go down that route, so have we noticed of late, outside of the fanciful sci-fi movies, my views that they put on for us, there's all this disclosure stuff and top-ranking military are talking about UFOs and they're renaming them and stuff, and it's this alien sort of thing. And then there was that famous, well, not famous, it's infamous footage of that traffic stuff in America, and something went over its head, and then an hour later there was that guy calling up, the Latino guy calling, saying there's something in the back garden. He's 10 foot tall and he looks strange. It's not human. It's kind of like, okay. Again, as you said, words are powerful, and over time words change and the meaning of words change, etc., etc. So demons that possess people.
Well, also Nephilims. If you go into Genesis 6 of the Bible, um, that people don't really talk about Genesis 6 because the daughters of man were mating with the
Yes.
sons of God, and God was horrified. He didn't want it, and people were living debauchery and
Hmm.
whoring and drinking, and he was very saddened. So he said he was going to flood everything and kill everything, and
Yes.
Noah found favor with him, and Noah was told to go and build the ark. And when he went and told everybody, he was told to tell the people, which he did. Um, they mocked him, they laughed at him. Sounds familiar.
Yes. Very
He,
much so.
he killed everybody, and he said he would never flood the earth again. That didn't mean he wouldn't bring famine and plagues. So when you look at all of these things, um, I think it was at the back of Saddam Hussein's palace is Babylon,
Yes.
and they did exhume the tombs of Gilgamesh. And
They've Do you think that's actually true though?
I do.
Um,
I do. Well, I do. Well, I'm sure that there are tombs of Gilgamesh. I mean, you only have to look through the entire history and what they found, that we giants were here.
oh
And
yes.
I think scripture is very much correct. It is a script. It's telling you. It reads as a script if you read it. And so when they're coming out and talking now about things, why now? Because what they need for the new world order to work, then we all have to perceive that there's actually a greater threat than the right, the left,
Yeah.
this country, that country. The threat is actually an external threat.
External.
And all of it.
Yes.
Therefore, we've got to believe that there is an
Yeah, I know.
existential threat, so that we all come together
Yeah, there is
to
one.
fight this external thing.
Yeah.
So it literally is cue the aliens, so that we then all go, oh my gosh, look, we're all fighting amongst each other, but there's some real baddies coming now. We all need to fight it together,
Yeah.
and so that's what we're going to do, and we need a one world government for that. And we need one world bank, and we need a one world army, and
Yes.
and it's so obvious, it's so ridiculous, and
It really is.
it never works, and history just goes round and round and round again, and there'll be the useful idiots, there'll be the people that will fall. 10,000 will fall at my thousands will fall at my side, 10,000 at my right, and it will not come nigh thee. So
Mhm.
it is, people. I think there was a study done by, I think it was the CIA, that said, when anything like this happens, you'll have 2% that are active all the time. I suppose I'd fall into that 2%. 6 to 8% who will be active some of the time, and then you'll have 90% who will do nothing. Nothing, even when faced with death. Even when faced with death, they'll do nothing. But that's so I don't believe. I believe it's demons. The whole thing about CERN,
Oh
CERN,
gosh.
where they're trying to
Yes.
break the atom.
The
So
Large Hadron Collider.
yeah, and I think the funding changed from America. It changed. It had a 2-year kind of sabbatical while they were doing some kind of repairs, modifications. And then who was funding it changed. As I remember it rightly, I think it changed to China. So, but have you seen the logo of it? The logo to CERN, it's actually 3 overlaying sixes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's all there. But it's because they're trying to I believe, that we're under a firmament, as above, so below. It's water. There's ancient maps showing where there's particular holes where the oceans go into, and lots of
Yes.
explorers found them in the same places. And the whole lie, I love it. Somebody said to me today about dinosaurs, and I was like, oh. I live not, just outside London, the Natural History Museum. They're not real bones, folks.
Oh, no, the
Replicas,
cast
they're from and Darwin's theory of evolution, the clue is in the title.
theory.
And all of those people, Huxley, Leonard Huxley, who was
Yeah.
the grandfather of Aldous Huxley, Sir Isaac Newton, who was also made Warden of the Mint in 1966. 1666. But anyway, Warden of the Mint, and over the coinage. All of these people are all known to one another, all interconnected,
Yeah.
and they come down the lineage,
Of
and they
course.
change their script. So I think the whole thing is, when we talk about that, we're talking about demonic energies, demonic entities.
Serpent seed.
Yeah, so, and they can't get a grip. We're told, put on our full armor of God,
Yeah.
shoes in preparation of the gospel, our girdle of truth, our breastplate of righteousness, our shield of faith, our helmet of salvation, which is hope, and our sword, which is our word. It's the only weapon of offense. The rest are defense. Well, what is our word? Our word, our sword is word. It's a vibration. So, and we're told we overcome Satan with our personal testimony. So we have to speak it. Our personal testimony that the word of God tells us, the word which is there, you're not spells, but that's how you create things. What the blood of Jesus does. So it's you speaking. We're not fighting flesh and blood here. We're fighting principalities. So very easy to get through it, and is if you just have to speak what you want.
Because you're at a stage though, Kate, where you've got wisdom on your side, you've got lived experience. Unfortunately, we've got so many people who are only now coming out of REM sleep. They're not awake. You know this new term that they're talking about, woke. I'm woke, I am Kate, I'm woke because I know about this. They're not even out of, they've just come out of REM, so they're in light sleep at the moment, just about to kind of stir. They haven't actually opened their eyes, they haven't got out of the bed, they haven't had a shower and brushed their teeth. Everything is a stage, and everything is a process. Just like another analogy, primary school or nursery school, primary, junior, secondary school, college, university. There's clearly something after university. There's extracurricular studies as well. We all are at very different
They've all got
points.
one thing in common. They're all indoctrination.
Centers, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we have so many intelligent people who have been trained down those routes who
I'm not
don't know
sure I'd even call them intelligent anymore. What is intelligence?
based upon that,
It's completely
based
different
upon, well,
education.
of
Yeah,
course, but
you can
but
be intelligent and not even read and write.
exactly. But they based upon these standards, and I'm using air quotes, they have the capacity to regurgitate information on command. That's how they get their doctorates, their bachelors, their
They do, and write it
MDs.
down. They do, and
Yeah.
know how to very quickly, do. Anybody who's wrote any exam, when you've got to do 50 references, you're like,
Yes, exactly.
and then we all know how to turn it in. Turn it in when you write an essay and you have
Yeah.
to check for plagiarism. I remember having to write something for Turn It In, and I realized that this particular magazine, this publication, which was great for what I was writing, it clearly hadn't been used on Turn It In. So I copied and pasted an entire article out of it and put it into Turn It In to see if it would come up, and it didn't. And I thought, well, I'll just use that magazine for most of the stuff. That publication, which is what I did, it was hilarious. And I just moved, I used to write an essay with a thesaurus.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
writing it, changing a word, a bit of sentence.
Yeah.
So really, but now, of course, what have they got now? Is it chat G?
Chatbot GPT
Yeah,
4 or something.
yeah. I mean, that's hilarious. Um,
That's
I,
dangerous.
yeah,
That
it
shit's
is, but
dangerous.
it is, and they're all using it. So, um, all of these things. It's just I sat in a room with and I can say this. I don't really care what they say. Bring them all in front of me. I can do their job. They can't do mine. I have absolutely no problem. And if you're a fat nurse, then I'm going to ask you why. Why are you fat? If you're a health educator, you shouldn't be obese. They all get their knickers in a twist when I go and say that about them. Oh, she's calling us obese. Well, that is a health threat. It's going to shorten your life. So
Yes.
quit wearing your mask and tell anyone to get a vaccine and sort the lard out on your rear, because that's going to make you very sick very quick and put a drain on any health system, diabetes, cancer, the lot. And
Yes.
that's not to mention your knee joints. But anyway, it's very interesting. I was in a room with about 60 nurses and pharmacists doing a course, and I became acutely aware very quickly during this course that these people were going to be prescribing,
Mm.
ministering, potentially, well, all drugs. There's no single. They talk about a lethal dose, LD, in a drug. Just digressing. So LD 50 would mean that if you gave that drug to 100 people, 50 of them would die. So that would
Wow.
be considered a very dangerous drug. But you could have an LD 15. That's not considered dangerous. That means 15 will die. And there's no drug that's an LD 0. No drug at all. And then you're assuming that these people have got perfect health, good kidney filtration, and they're not on any other drug.
Exactly.
So I was in a room with lots of people who were potentially going to be prescribing and administering something that would kill a patient straight away or shortly afterwards, and then lots of them were very stupid and very egotistical, and that was really worrying for me. And of course, because you talk about energy and because I went in there as the weeks went on, I went in there going, oh, oh. Well, that's what I got back every time. So I
Mm.
sat in a room with a professor of whatever she was a professor of, a professor of
Mm.
herself on the shoulder. It was something to do with pharmaceuticals. And she said, who in here hasn't got a single drug in their medicine cabinet? And everyone looked at me. And so I was like, oh, well, they know me. And I went, me. And she said, well, I bet you've got paracetamol. I went, I bet you I haven't. And she said, well, I bet you've got ibuprofen or Nurofen. I went, I bet you haven't, but I have got high THC cannabis oil. It's a bit like that. But these people were, they were completely indoctrinated, totally,
Yeah.
utterly. I don't believe that any of them could be saved. But
Brainwashed. They're brainwashed from
I don't even think they're brainwashed, because that would mean that they'd got something that needed to be cleansed in the first place.
their
These
their their
are
natural
they're
their
just
natural
children.
essence. Their essence has been taken away. We, on the other hand, we kind of we were given the falling system. We were given the lies. But some of us were late bloomers, some of us were early bloomers, and some of us were like, yeah, no, no, no. Okay, I'll regurgitate it, but I know this is a load of rubbish. Let me have
Well,
a look.
I mean, for anybody to think you can have COVID and not know about it, that's like saying you can have sickness and diarrhea but not have any symptoms. You can have a headache, but you won't have a headache.
Yeah.
It's, and what got me the most was that doctors and nurses were parroting that out.
Yes.
I mean, the idiots